India wants to become a $35 trillion economy, but that raises one question. What exactly is the Indian economy? Who creates it, who controls it, and what keeps it growing? In the next 6 minutes, let's decode the entire system. Every morning, as the sun sweeps across the subcontinent, 1.4 billion people wake up. It is the daily firing up of a massive interconnected machine. This machine operates through an endless loop of physical human interaction, earning, spending, and buying. To measure all this activity, economists use a single scorecard, Gross Domestic Product or GDP. It adds up the total monetary value of all the goods and services produced within these borders over a single year. But that scorecard has a massive blind spot. Because it only tallies money changing hands, it assigns a value of 0 to unpaid labor, like homemaking and elder care, even though these roles provide the household stability that allows the rest of the formal workforce to participate in the economy. Even with those statistical gaps, tracking this colossal output remains the most effective way to understand how a nation survives, grows, and builds its future. Right now, the output of that machine ranks India as the fifth largest economy in the world. Among major economies, it is growing the fastest, expanding at roughly 7% a year. When you map that growth over recent decades against other top global players like the US, China, Japan, and Germany, you see a distinct pattern. India's trajectory forms a steep exponential upward curve. The nation's long term target is to follow that trajectory until it reaches a $35 trillion valuation by the year 2047. Hitting that valuation requires the synchronized firing of three distinct internal engines. The first engine is agriculture. It employs roughly 46% of the workforce, stabilizing rural demand and ensuring income security for millions of people. The second engine is industry. Manufacturing expanded by 8.4% recently, supported by millions of small enterprises that form the supply chain's backbone. To accelerate this industrial push, the country relies on foreign capital. Last fiscal year, foreign direct investment inflows surged 18%, injecting nearly $59 billion into domestic projects. The third and largest engine is services. Generating over half of the national GDP, this sector drives India's position as a massive global exporter of digital, IT, and financial expertise. The stability of the entire economy depends on these three sectors balancing each other. If rural agricultural yields drop, manufacturing and services have to pull harder to sustain the nation's wealth. To keep all three engines running, the system requires constant fuel. That fuel comes in the form of consumer spending and continuous financial investment. The government acts as the central distributor in this cycle. It collects revenue through taxes and re-injects that money back into the system to drive expansion. Recently, that injection included a massive 11.21 lakh crore rupees in capital expenditure, specifically directed at hard physical infrastructure like highways, railway networks, and ports. This spending lays down the physical tracks that allow private businesses to scale their operations and move goods efficiently. But a rapidly expanding economy risks overheating. The Reserve Bank of India serves as the system's control room, tasked with keeping that growth stable. The primary threat they monitor is inflation. It acts as an invisible tax, raising the cost of everyday goods and eating away at a worker's purchasing power. This economic survey excerpt outlines the RBI strategy. By adjusting interest rates, they lowered their inflation forecast to 2.0%. The country then recorded an average inflation rate of just 1.7%, a historic low protecting domestic consumers. Mastering this metric is a critical balancing act. Without tight control over inflation, rapid GDP growth would simply price the poorest citizens out of survival. A strong tool for formalizing this growth is digital public infrastructure. Platforms like the Unified Payments Interface now process over 16 billion transactions a month, bringing millions of people into the formal economy. This chart reveals the friction beneath the digital boom, the pressure to generate formal jobs for a massive population. In May 2025, unemployment stood at 5.6%. However, recent data points to a tightening labor market, declining to 4.8% by December. Long-term success relies on the system's ability to consistently absorb, train, and uplift this massive workforce equitably. As the country pivots toward the intelligent age, it is directing heavy investments into semiconductor manufacturing, artificial intelligence, and renewable green energy. These technological ambitions connect directly to global trade. Last fiscal year, this expansion helped drive total exports to a record $825 billion. But if you look past the macroeconomic data, the foundation of this transition remains the same. It is the people doing the physical work. This economic transition is the physical result of 1.4 billion people actively building their own future.